Herbs. Herbs have been mentioned in the Bible many times in the books of Genesis, 2nd Kings, Isaiah, Revelations, and many more. Many studies have proven that herbs can have a varying amount of health benefits, like increasing lifespan, increased brain activity, making you smarter, and other amazing health benefits. Some of the many herbs that are mentioned in the Bible are ones many people use on a daily basis, like rosemary, dill, thyme, peppermint, more a rare herb like hyssop, and many others. The Bible would suggest that you should eat herbs on a regular basis. For example, eating basil every day, on the daily, would help alleviate anxiety and depression and increase your ability to think clearly and lower the risk for age-related memory loss. Essential oils in basil, including eugenol, linalool, and citronellol, can help to fight inflammation in the body. Many other herbs that are rare that are not talked about as much for obvious reasons are, for example, dandelion. Dandelion has been proven to be good for the heart, yet not many people talk about it, and that is pretty shady to me, if you ask me. So I would say that eating dandelion, well, many studies have proven that dandelion is good for the heart and can help with many other things, for example, vitamin C and other trace minerals. And yeah, that's also another herb that isn't talked about as much. Another thing I think many people should be doing is outdoor foraging, which is really good because it breaks away from major chains of shops like Walmart and those big mega companies. So I know actually that foraging is good if it's done in a sustainable, healthy, and legal manner. For example, if you want to, you can go to a public park, for example, and make sure it's somewhere that's not sprayed with pesticides, and gather many herbs. For example, here where I live, we have many dandelions, for example. We have many of those, but also another thing that's common in other places, like blackberry bushes. You can eat the blackberries, of course, but you can also grab the leaves and turn them into a tea that is very good for many things, like, well, first of all, it's an anti-inflammatory, and it can help with many other things. A really good tea to have. So you can get some of that just in your backyard, basically. You don't have to go too far for dandelion, of course, and not that far for blackberry plants. So that is another thing. The subject of unclean animals is definitely a hot topic among scholars, because many say that in the book of Acts that in the new covenant, YHWH, which is a true name of the Messiah, by the way, that he, with the new covenant, he made do the with the book of Deuteronomy, basically, that any animal you is possible to eat, like all unclean animals were made clean, which is a pretty, would I say, not not something the Almighty would do, because like it says in the book of John that Yehovah, which is a true name of the Almighty, that he is the same then, now, and in the future. He has never changed, never will change. So why would he change when it comes to unclean animals? Also, Deuteronomy says that unclean animals, for example, pigs, snakes, rats, all those other things that are disgusting and an abomination to the Almighty to eat, by the way. I think it's hard to not eat unclean animals in this day and age, because many of our favorite foods have these have disgusting unclean animals in our food that we don't even know about. For example, gummies have gelatin, which is basically grinded bones and byproducts of a pig or a cow, but most of the time it's a pig. So if I would say stay away from gelatinized gummies for the sake of the Almighty. I'll make a separate video for unclean animals later in my YouTube career soon. But so yeah, unclean animals I can list out for you right now is pigs, rats, snakes, unclean birds, for example, eagles, falcons, birds of prey. For example, ostriches, and other animals like that. Um, Unclean insects would be insects, as it says in Deuteronomy. Any insect that has more than 4 legs is not to be eaten, so an abomination to be eaten. Isaiah 58 is a whole chapter dedicated to talking about fasting, which I'll talk about in depth in another video later. But the summary of what Isaiah 58 is about is that we should not fast for any other reason except to smite wickedness and to attract Yahweh. Get him to see our hearts and see that we are humble enough to want to delve into fasting, which is a very spiritual experience. Remember, when fasting, you should never do it for the attraction of man, because as it says, if that will be your reward if you fast for man. That's why we are told to wash our faces and anoint them with oil, so that we do not appear to men to be fasting, which basically means look good, don't act all hungry, don't try to impress people with the fact that you're fasting, but only to to attract Yehovah, and your reward will be from and with Yehovah, and He will reward you openly. As I said in the section about unclean animals, we are not supposed to eat unclean animals, but that is out of the picture. So that it was not done away with the new covenant. Just in summary, wanted to say that. So, what do you eat? Well, for example, for clean bird meat, you can eat quail, um, chicken. So basically, those two bird avian animals are able to be eaten. When it comes to mammals, you can eat ruminant meat like deer, elk, and lamb, goat, those animals. Um, Other meats that you're allowed to eat are, for example, the only insects you're allowed to eat is insects with 4 legs. But in Deuteronomy, they say 4 legs, but it actually is supposed to be 6 legs, because on a cricket it looked like the cricket had uh, 4 legs. Not the fault of the Bible, though. Um, so, yeah, and crickets and locusts are the two, safe to say, clean insects that you can eat. So those are all the clean animals you can eat. For vegans listening to this, I would like to say that veganism is a psyop, because, first of all, there are these fats in your brain that you need called DHA that can only be found in meats. So, meats are the only way to get this fat, and well, that would explain why vegans are so crazy, but not the fault of their own. And in Timothy 4, it was predicted, prophesied, that in the last days people would be seduced by a spirit that would cause them to want them to not have children, which is something a lot of people are on, and also to abstain from meats, which is given to you as a gift from Yahweh and should be received in thanksgiving. So, for my vegan friends, it's okay to do it, to be vegan, for things like a Daniel fast or even a herb fast, but that's just because you're abstaining from foods that are supposed, like, for example, the Daniel fast, foods that are unpleasurable. That's why you do a Daniel fast. But a herb fast is, of course, has to be strictly vegan. And also, I would say a Daniel fast is basically unpleasurable foods. But fasting, I will delve into another day. So, in summary, what we talked about here was about number one, herbs. Number two, we talked about unclean animals. And number 3, we talked about fasting. And last but not least, 4, we talked about meat and just made a whole section about that. I would recommend you stick for this little end, that this last part, because I'd like to say, please, I am a starting channel, just doing this to spread the word, um, spreading the word basically. So please, if you like this video, subscribe and like, and make me a menace to the kingdom of darkness, like Mapala says. And yeah, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one. And always remember that Yahweh is bigger than anything out there. Satan will not be able to destroy you with the Almighty on your side. That is why he always is trying to tempt you, because at the end, he knows that you will over subdue the devil, and the devil will be locked up for eternity after the millennial kingdom, for eternity in hell, suffering for all the sins he has committed and people he has led astray. Remember, we are the chosen ones. We are the ones that make it to the end. As it said in Proverbs 10, verse 30, the wicked are removed from this earth, but the righteous will never leave. Thank you. May you be blessed.